The Cast Compass Podcast, hosted by Michelle and Lisa Cast. Welcome to the Cast Compass Podcast. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Lisa. And we're a couple of moms, and your hosts on this wild, beautiful ride called life.
We're here to help you navigate your next phase, whether that's family building, career shifts, personal growth, or rewriting the story of what your life should look like.
Our path hasn't been traditional. IVF, job losses, parenting through chaos, starting over in our 40s. But we've learned how to trust our gut and follow our compass, even when it's scary.
Each week we'll bring real talk, a little astrology, a lot of heart, and stories that make you feel seen.
So if you're craving connection, clarity, and maybe a cocktail along the way, welcome home. Welcome to the Cast Compass Podcast. We're Michelle and Lisa, partners in life, moms to our 3-year-old son, Leo.
And guides for anyone navigating their next big chapter. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Lisa.
And this is episode 3.
Family building to mom style.
Family building to mom style. I love this. Today we're getting personal. We're sharing our journey to becoming 2 moms, building our family through IVF and the unexpected lessons along the way. And were there ever unexpected lessons along the way?
I think a lot of parents experience that.
Oh, absolutely. We were a little naive.
Oh, I can't wait to hear about it.
So jumping right in, we had some early decisions to make. Lisa and I spoke for a long time about having kids, a really long time. But we knew that we wanted to live a little bit of our life, travel. We did all the things.
Not to mention it would be expensive.
Oh, yes. So actually, the thing that made it possible
was that my job took on a fertility benefit called progeny. And suddenly, having children became a little bit more of a reality we could wrap our heads around.
I mean, it even included covering our donor sperm, which was incredible. And we also, for a long time, had been looking at donors. It's not like we weren't.
Yeah, we were poking around at it. Mm-hmm.
We were just waiting for the perfect match. Mm-hmm. So in November of 2019, I happened to be at an event for work. I used to work in events. And a great friend of mine, still a great friend and huge support to this day, love her, was like, what's going on with kids? Like, hi, hello, what's happening? And so I was like, oh, I should look right now, because I was periodically looking at the California Cryobank website.
Registry website.
Yeah, whatever. Mm-hmm. And so popped it up. Don't know how long it had been since I looked. Probably not that long.
No. Yeah, because we were looking, started in like January.
We were looking
2019.
pretty consistently, even prior to that. Mm-hmm. Opened it up, and literally there he was. I will never forget the moment. And I was like, this is him. And my coworker was like, oh my God, I literally just witnessed the moment that you found your donor. And I was like, you literally just like made me look for my donor, and we found our donor. And like, you will always be this person in this story who helped us have our children.
Yeah.
She loves that. Story. And I love that for her.
I love that for her too, because she's amazing.
So I called them immediately from my event, and they were like, at the time, I think they said they had 23 vials. And what did we know? We probably should have bought like 10. We ended up buying 8.
Should have probably bought like 20.
We thought 8 would have been enough. Mm-hmm. I mean, we still have 2.
2.
Thank God. So that was a huge moment. And even prior to that, I think, yes, because we had met Dr. Levine before we even found our donor. Mm-hmm. We'd been running, doing a lot of like fitness and exercise, and I got an injury, which brought me to an amazing orthopedic doctor in Manhattan. Mm-hmm. I right now cannot remember her name, but she was another fellow Leo, and she was pregnant. And she was like, Michelle, what's going on? Are you guys ready? And I was like, we're starting to get ready. She's like, well, let me tell you, I struggled. I had a lot of miscarriages, a really tough time, and I've gone to CCRM, and I am working with Dr. Levine, and he is incredible. You will absolutely love him. Here is his information. Go see him. And we did.
Yeah.
It was all kismet. As everything is.
As everything is, if you're following that compass.
That's right. Dr. Levine then guided us. We had testing done, genetic testing, blood work. When we first met with him, before we even had our donor chosen, we had to find out if we were something called CMV negative or positive, because you then have to find the donor that's compatible with both of you.
Right.
And so I was CMV positive, so for me it didn't matter, but Lisa was CMV negative. And if we were to choose a CMV positive donor, it could have been dangerous for Lisa. So that actually narrowed our choices even more.
Yeah, that was tough.
Yeah, and look, because CMV is kind of common. It's like one of those viruses like Epstein-Barr. You just like might not know you have it.
Right. And you don't know how you get it.
Yeah.
It's just like a random virus.
So anyway, the things like that were kind of all the things that we had to line up, the genetic testing, making sure that we were compatible with the donor,
Right.
that he was compatible with us. And then you kind of decide, okay, like things are looking good. I mean, at the time, Dr. Levine said we were both fertile myrtles. It looked like we had plenty of follicles. We did not at the time foresee any issues other than we were a little bit older.
Right.
And I had a history of PCOS, and that was the reason that we started with me, because we were worried that because of my history of PCOS, it would have been harder. We figured because Lisa never had any kind of fertility issues,
Right.
and always normal cycles, that like we were gonna.
It was going to be easy for me.
Yeah.
So
That kind of leads us right to, we talked a little bit in our prior episodes, but I had 2 IUIs, 2 retrievals, and I ended up having 2 transfers. My first transfer did not develop past 6 weeks, even though it was a normal embryo, which was really unexpected and really hard. This is kind of, again, another one of those compass moments where I always thought I was going to be a girl mom. We never really saw ourselves having a boy.
Right.
We knew that the other embryo that we had was a boy. And now, oh my God, we could not imagine our lives any other way without that little boy. He's so amazing.
he's everything.
Yeah.
And I had a retrieval that yielded 1 normal, and that was also a female.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something for us to maybe look into, side note, about being able to carry female embryos, because that's like a thing a friend of ours shared as well. She didn't think she could carry male embryos. And it's not something we know enough about.
Right.
But it's definitely something to explore.
Definitely something to explore. Right. So we did we bought our home.
Yeah.
We moved in.
We bought our
July
home.
of July 31st, 2021. And Michelle had her transfer August 5th, 2021. So we had 5 days to unpack as much as we could, or get everything unpacked. And so that when Michelle did the transfer, then she'd have to rest. And it was a success. And we got the call on your birthday.
We did.
That we were pregnant.
August 13th.
Yes.
I'll never forget that
Huge
call.
day. We were in the car, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Levine and Nurse Julie called.
They were like,
Are
the 3 of you
great,
there?
all 3 of you were there. And we were like, oh my God.
I'm not crying, you're crying.
I know. But yeah, that also, like, you have to then go 10 weeks at the fertility clinic.
That was a lot of back and forth.
A lot of back and forth. So we moved to Long Island, and our clinic was in Manhattan.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of going back and forth for those appointments. But we graduated. It was fantastic.
It was awesome.
We found a great OBGYN.
Life.
5 minutes from the house.
Thank you to our friends who also used them.
Referred them to us. And that was a life-changing decision.
Oh my gosh.
Well, and we knew it too, because they were so highly recommended, because they had been, our friends had been through stressful births, and they said these doctors are the ones that you want, no matter how your birth goes.
I mean, they saved their lives.
Yeah.
The children and the mother.
Yeah.
So,
we moved from the fertility clinic.
It's a great segue.
To the OBGYN's office was about weekly, or every couple of weeks?
Every couple of weeks. Because we were still high risk.
Right.
Right?
Being older.
Yeah.
The geriatric pregnancy.
So, I mean, all our scans went well. All our blood work went well. I did have one episode around Thanksgiving of bleeding, which was a little unexpected. We ended up going to the hospital. It turned out that it was a placenta previa, which means that the placenta was really close to the cervix, and that was what had caused the bleeding. But it would be fine. It either would resolve, or it would mean that I would need a C-section. So the placenta previa did end up resolving. The rest of everything had gone well. We had a couple of blood work moments where the labs on the liver enzymes were a little high. We thought maybe it was diet. The doctors really weren't too concerned, because I never had any ketones in my urine. There was never any sign of preeclampsia. Otherwise, blood pressures were normal.
Right.
Urinary tests were always normal. So really, it had been the week leading up to when Leo actually came, I had 2 days of headaches. And this is really important for anyone who's listening right now. If you're pregnant and you are getting headaches that are not resolving with Tylenol, call your doctor. If you have a blood pressure monitor at home, take your blood pressure. Headaches that won't go away and high blood pressures are a sign of preeclampsia. So I had the blood pressure cuff, thankfully, at home. Mm-hmm. We did a reading on the second day that my headache wouldn't go away, and it was blowing high numbers.
It was something I didn't even think could exist.
Yeah, it was like 150s.
150 over like 80 or something.
No, like 90. No, because 120 over
or
80
like
is normal. It was high. It was like 150 over 100 or something crazy.
Something crazy. Yeah.
And we were like, oh, was that a fluke thing? We took it a few more times. Called the doctor. They're like, listen, just go to labor and delivery. Now, this was the second time. The third time we went to labor and delivery because the first time was the bleeding. Mm-hmm. Then I slipped in the shower.
Right.
And now this was the third time because I was getting the weird blood pressure readings. And they did a bunch of tests. My blood pressure's actually normalized.
They wound up normalizing.
Yeah.
I think because they went to go like do blood work or something. They went to do something for you and you're like, you turned white as a ghost. It was like everything just dropped. And then they normalized.
That's true.
It was something so strange. And so we were like, oh, good, they normalized. And so then after a couple hours, they felt comfortable letting us go home. But they were like, we just want you to do pee in the jug for 24 hours, right? Or something like that.
Yeah.
So we brought this giant jug home that like all the pee went in. And all of Michelle's like.
And I was like, I pee a lot. You might want to give me 2. I was right.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
You carried 2 of those jugs.
2 of those jugs. And Lisa dropped the jugs off for me at the doctor on that Thursday. And then the doctor actually called and was like, we got the jugs, but you also need to come for blood work. So I went in that Thursday, gave them the blood work, and then the next morning.
The next morning, Michelle woke up, looked at her phone, and she had missed calls from the doctor. She was on call at the hospital, right?
Mm-hmm. It was my doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she would left a voicemail saying, Michelle, please, as soon as you get this, I need you to call the office and I need you to go into the office immediately. Mm-hmm. We were like, oh my God, like what? Oh no. So they told us to come in. I think it was like 11 something or 10:30 in the morning. And we get there and the MFM, maternal fetal medicine doctor, for those who don't know, and Dr. King,
our OBGYN. One of them.
Brought us in the room and they said, okay, so you had protein in your urine and your liver enzymes are high and you are preeclamptic and we need you to go check in at the hospital immediately. You need to be admitted.
And I said.
And Michelle said, can I please just go get my eyebrows done before I get there? The doctor was like, absolutely not.
As Leo would say, absolutely yes. Because Michelle absolutely went and got her eyebrows done.
Yes, she made me drive her to get threaded at the eyebrow salon.
Now listen, I'm not a doctor. I don't recommend you go get your eyebrows done if your doctor tells you to go directly to the hospital.
Absolutely not.
Okay? This is not medical advice. This is just evidence that Michelle is crazy.
Right. Mm-hmm. And you can't tell her no. If she really wants to do something.
Yes, and Lisa's very supportive.
I was terrified because for those of you who don't know, preeclampsia means pre-seizure. It was Friday, February 25th, 2022. Our anniversary is February 26th. So we got to the hospital. Our baby shower was 2 weeks, was scheduled to be 2 weeks later. The doctor was like, sorry, you won't be at your baby shower. The baby will be with you whenever you have it. That was tough. So
it was tough.
The nursery wasn't ready. We didn't have anything we needed. And they had hoped that Michelle could have just been monitored in the hospital for like another 3 weeks or something.
So I was 32 weeks that Saturday, the 26th, which was our wedding anniversary. And they had hoped I could make it to at least 34 weeks.
Right.
At least, because there's just more lung development by then.
Right.
You know?
And so I would never forget the night of the 26th. NICU doctors came to talk to us about what could happen if the baby came sooner than the 34 rather, and what to expect, all these things. And so we're listening, we're like, yeah, okay, yep, got it, but the hope was we'd make it to 34.
Yeah.
On the morning of the 27th, right, the following morning, the doctors came in. They would come in every morning to give us a report. Michelle got blood work every night. Blood work came back. Okay, well, the blood work isn't great. Your liver enzymes are increasing exponentially. Now, this was after they had put her on the mag bag.
I was already on the magnesium.
She was already on magnesium, which controls the neurological systems.
Slows everything down.
Slows everything down so that you don't seize, and keeps everybody as safe as possible.
Right.
But the blood work was not responding appropriately.
Yeah.
The blood work just continued to rise, the levels, the liver enzymes. And they were like, you are had HELP syndrome? Or
I had
you
at
had
that
HELP.
point, I had HELP
You
syndrome.
had HELP, right.
Because the platelets, the elevated liver enzymes and the lower platelets.
And the lower platelets, right. So she had HELP, which HELP syndrome is
very dangerous.
Very dangerous for mother and baby. So they said, we would like to induce you today. And
we said no.
Again, with the negotiations. We were like, okay, well, how about tomorrow?
Because I said, no, this is what we said. Lisa and I had talked about it because magnesium slows you down. So what they were going to do is they were going to start the Pitocin to induce labor, but I would be on the magnesium. Magnesium slows everything down. Pitocin's supposed to speed everything up. I'm sorry, I am not doing that. And then end in an emergency C-section anyway?
That's right.
So I said, listen, I don't want to be induced. I'd rather just have a C-section instead of inducing me today, because they knew if they induced me Sunday that the baby could come Monday.
Right.
Instead of inducing me today, can we just do a C-section tomorrow?
Right.
And they said, okay, that's fair. We'll do it. Because I also wanted my doctor to be there, and she was able to come in on Monday to do the C-section. And then I knew that once they got the baby out, they would put me back on the magnesium. So I was going to have the magnesium again no matter what. I just didn't want to go through the torture and the danger of potentially having to have that emergency C-section.
That's
so
right. Yeah.
we negotiated. We had talked about it before they came in.
That was so freaky.
Yeah.
Like, we just randomly started to talk about the potentials of it. Like, okay, well, what happens if, they say you're going to have to go on the magnesium anyway? Like, do you really want to? And we both agreed. Like, you know what? No. We're going to tell them. We're going to advocate for ourselves. We will ask for a C-section. And thank God they were...
Yeah.
They were open to it.
They were so great.
They were
every nurse,
fantastic.
Every doctor.
Oh, my God.
I will never, ever forget how amazing of an experience we had. They called Dr. King, who came in to do the C-section. We just were so lucky. And honestly, on the day of 2/28, I was so zen. I couldn't eat starting the night of 2/27 of Sunday night.
We thought that you were going to have the C-section earlier in the day.
I thought Leo was going to have Leo rising.
That's right.
He ended up coming too late and has Virgo rising.
Poor baby.
My stubborn boy.
Pisces with Virgo rising.
No, it's going to be good for him.
What was funny was I remember seeing a woman being wheeled into the operating room during the time Michelle was supposed to go in. And I was like, oh, I hope she's okay. Turns out she was another NICU mom.
Yeah.
And her baby girl was...
right before Leo.
Yeah, born just hours before Leo.
Yeah.
And we spent some time together in the NICU.
Yeah, but that day I was able to just tap into some zen. It was like it was all meant to be. I was so peaceful all day. I took a shower. I dried my hair. I was ready. I closed my eyes and I literally walked into the operating room
Yeah, Dr. King walked down the hall. We all walked down the hall together.
Yeah.
The nurse, Dr. King.
Yep. The nurse came to Lisa to get her and said, I have never seen a woman walk into the operating room and sit on the operating table the way your wife just did.
And just say, go ahead with the epidural.
Let's do it.
No fear.
I everything was as it should be. And there was no fear in me because I knew that it was all playing out.
Yeah.
Right. That's a total trust in the universe that we always have.
Definitely. Yeah, so we weren't sure how he was going to be at birth. But I was like, I go into the operating room. Michelle's like already on the table. They've already started the C-section. And I was, we're listening to everything, trying to support Michelle, the anesthesiologist. Everybody was just incredible. Dr. King was listening to some like 90s playlist, some Phil Collins.
Yeah. Oh my God, I wish I could remember the song that was on the moment he was born.
I thought for sure we would remember it forever.
Me too.
I just remember it was Phil Collins.
We'll hear it at some point.
I know, and it'll jog all the memory. And she was like, "Here he comes." And they pulled him out, and he was screaming. And I was so happy. I think we were both relieved that he was screaming and crying because the lung development at that point was the biggest concern. And he had a head of hair. And I was like, he's got a full head of hair, because we could both hear him crying. So that wasn't the worry. So I was like, oh my God, he's got hair. And and then I went over to cut the cord, and they cleaned him up and brought him over to Michelle, give him a kiss.
Yeah.
And then they had to whisk him away to the NICU right away. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so crazy to talk about it.
Yeah,
I'm like I'm
so
literally
big.
And I'm literally there. I'm like in my head right now. I'm there on the table and seeing him come over to me. I mean, we have the pictures too. I mean, Lisa was definitely our rock. She had to go between the NICU and me. They wheeled me into recovery and literally started pumping right away. And this is a moment where I want to mention like the pressures, that social media puts on having this typical birth story. We talk about how we rolled with all this because that's just what Lisa and I do. Our strength is really unmatched in some ways, but it was really, really, really hard. It was really scary in some ways, even though I had that like moments of no fear walking to that operating room. Everyone tells you have to have that skin to skin and like what your birth story should be. And like, you have to make sure the baby gets the colostrum and like all the things that you're told are so important for the connection with your baby. It felt like it was all being ripped away from me. I have hardly any photos of being pregnant. We didn't have our shower with me pregnant. I literally felt like everything that I thought society said was supposed to be the way was now just being taken. And like, if I talk about it, I get emotional because at the time, that's how it felt. Now I look back and I know that our story happened exactly how it was supposed to. And our child is absolutely obsessed with us. It doesn't matter if we did skin to skin every second of our lives. It doesn't matter. Now, we definitely think that Leo has some sensitivity. We have this weird thing where we think he remembers the NICU because he's such an in-tune child.
Yeah.
But like, our connection was not impacted whatsoever. And this is also a good note to make for other LGBTQ families. As the non-bio parent, Leo is absolutely obsessed with Lisa. And she didn't carry him. And we didn't have a typical birth.
Right.
And it doesn't matter. So if you're feeling that pressure, if you're pregnant or you're an LGBTQ family who's starting IVF and you're worried as the non-bio parent, the connection you're going to have with that kid, I'm going to tell you, no matter what your birth story looks like, no matter if you carry the child or not, you are their parent and they are going to love you so freaking much. It's amazing.
It is the greatest.
And I want to talk more about this. This is something that I'm really passionate about. For another episode.
Michelle actually didn't get a chance to. Well, they swung her around before taking her back upstairs to her room to see him for just a moment in the NICU, and I had to go between your recovery room and the NICU. There's so much to talk about here.
It's like a whole other episode.
It's a whole, definitely.
We can just kind of quickly wrap it up. Like, we went through 5 weeks in the NICU.
Yes.
Reflux, Brady episodes, navigating NICU life. It's, like I said, it's something else we can talk about. We finally got him home. Cow's milk protein allergy. Sleeping issues.
Oh, the sleeping.
Yes.
Yeah, because he had to be fed, and middle of the night feedings. He had to be held upright for 30 minutes. And so
even naps, whatever.
Everything, all of it. It was a mess.
It was a lot.
It was a lot.
We
We were working on, 5 4 or 5 hours of sleep max.
Broken sleep, not even.
Broken up. Horrible.
There's the element of the planning. There's the element of the IVF.
Mm-hmm.
There's the element of the pregnancy. For us, there was the added element of the preeclampsia and the NICU, which ended up taking up, I think, more of our story than we thought.
Mm-hmm.
But, what's something that we wish more people knew about same-sex parenting and IVF? It's not easy for most of us. No one talks about it, but they really should, because more people are going through it than we realize. It takes strength, it takes heartache, it takes perseverance, it takes a lot of love and support. And no two women's bodies are the same. No two IVF experiences are the same. Our bodies are different. Our IVF experiences are different. Just when you think it's all been figured out, something goes wrong. This is not doom and gloom. This is not to scare anyone, because some people's is easy.
Oh, yeah. Some people, super easy. And that's fantastic. Amazing. Love it. Our experience has not been anything like that. Mm-hmm. Have we been lucky enough to have a child? Absolutely. Wouldn't trade it for the world.
And there's some people who have it worse than us.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. There's some people who have to give up their dream entirely. We have Leo.
Yeah.
We have Leo.
And you have to be adaptable. You have to be gentle on yourself and your expectations. It's very unique to navigate the experience as two women. We're both two feminine women. We both have a dream to carry. Mm-hmm. But no two couples' experiences are the same either.
That's right.
There's a lot of emotional and logistical challenges too as an LGBTQ couple. I think what we should talk more about down the road, being two moms is very unique. The non-bio parent experience is very unique. I haven't had that experience yet. Even just being the bio parent and loving Lisa so much and wanting her to have that experience so much, we both have our own beautiful, unique experiences as parents, right? So there's a lot of emotional and logistical challenges, but we've worked through it together.
Yes, we've worked through it together. And then there's also the outside challenges. How people view you as a parent, as a non-bio parent. Even when we were looking for an OBGYN and we were kind of interviewing doctors.
Yeah.
It really mattered to me that I got the same amount of attention that Michelle did in conversation with doctors. And there were some doctors who hardly looked at me. And I was like, absolutely not. We're not going with that. As great as that doctor is, I'm not doing that.
No, we went with
because I don't want to feel like I'm not a part of this experience, because I've been here since this baby's inception.
Yeah.
Stop. Even before that. And we wound up going with our doctors because they were so open and they embraced the both of us as parents. And even everyone in the hospital. I mean, we got really lucky. We didn't know what we were going to experience. We didn't know if the nurses would be open to giving me the same respect as I would give a dad. We didn't know. I mean, we had a feeling because our other friends also gave birth at the same hospital.
But we have another newer friend couple who did not have the same experience we had.
Yeah. At the same hospital?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I forgot about that.
Yeah. We're very lucky. We had great
really
nurses
lucky.
and doctors.
Yeah.
But it is something to think about. And I don't know if you're listening to this and you don't live in New York. And even in New York, we had varied experiences with different doctors.
Yeah.
But you have to find people that you're comfortable with, doctors that are giving you both the same care and attention and respect. And we've always felt 100% of that from the people from the doctors who have had us in their care. And
it wasn't instantaneous. We worked hard to find those environments that would make us both feel comfortable.
Yeah, for sure. And so now, we are on the path and journey to baby number 2. We've been on it since December of 2022. Lisa had her first transfer that unfortunately was not a success. And we've been on that journey since. Now we know too much. And we also just now we know what we're in for. It's like, when it was brand new, it was like embarking on a new adventure. Every twist and turn and corner was new. Mm-hmm. Now it sometimes feels like returning to a dreaded friend.
There's just that idea of doing it all again, because it's a lot of steps.
Yeah,
it's a lot of steps. And there may be some people watching and be like, but you chose this. We chose it. We totally. But that doesn't discount the fact that it's a lot to get here. And even as, right, we're two moms, there's like single women by choice who do this all by themselves.
And have it just as hard
alone. Yeah. So let's give them props, even though this is the two mom episode.
Yeah.
Like moms are moms. Absolutely. Everybody's going through it.
Even we have some straight friends who went through it harder than us too.
Yeah.
So it's a lot. And we did choose it, and we wouldn't have chosen otherwise. But we just want people to feel seen, heard, relate to what we went through, and to know that they're not alone. So fun segment.
Yeah. Let's lighten it up.
Compass confession. A raw, well, I don't know if this is light. It's a raw or funny moment from early parenthood. I was a hot mess. It took me 2 years for Stella to get her groove back.
Most parents do.
Yeah.
Yeah, most moms.
You too.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
I would say, Lisa, and I think we can both agree on this, right? PTSD is real.
Oh, yeah.
Worrying about Leo's health and safety as a NICU baby was real.
And still continues to be for me.
Not as bad.
Yeah.
But, the first time Leo threw up, I was shaking. Like, it brought me right back to that.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
Because he had a super high fever. And we had COVID. We all got COVID. And he started to like throw up. And I was like, also, I've never seen a baby, like, obviously he spit up a ton because of his reflux, but like, never seen a baby actually like throw up food. Yeah. And I was like, what is happening right now?
It's
crazy. It felt so bad.
We went through it.
Yeah.
Funny moments. I'm sure there were funny moments. I couldn't think of any. Everything was kind of raw in those early days.
Him rolling off the couch.
Oh, remember that?
Yeah.
It's kind of funny now.
It is kind of funny now.
He did roll off of me on the couch.
He was on, and so he was even a little higher, and he hit his little nose, and I wasn't in the room, and oh, God.
So it happens, y'all. They're going to be okay.
Yeah. Thank God. Well, if you have questions about our IVF journey, which I think we will even get more into in more episodes, or want us to cover something specific, DM us to be featured in a future Q&A episode.
Yeah. Instagram at Cast of Two Moms or the Cast Compass. We're going to have all this info on our episode information. We're so grateful that you were here. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you so much for coming
and
listening and watching.
Yes. Follow and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if this feels like home already, which we really hope it does, leave us a review and share with a friend. We really want to just be able to help as many people as we can. And we'd love to hear more about what else you want to hear from us.
Bye.
Take care. The Cast Compass Podcast. New episodes every week.
Follow, rate, and share with someone who needs a little direction.